All right. Are you leaving?
I'll be happy to.
Yep.
We actually took this serious.
I
Mine's short. I've got 50 slides of a lot of boom, 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 boom.
I'm amazed how you put those together.
I want to be working here without gonna get.
Just have to get Gail to stop talking. This will be a mic.
Where do you want me to clip it?
Well, here's a little trick.
You show me what? Ah, okay.
We'll pass this one around.
All right.
White, won't do anything else?
What's that?
Are you good in the computer discussion white? Nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
That's always fun.
This morning, I was like, oh, no.
That's always.
I had to run home to get the old one, it's like that slow.
I'm my aunt's tech person. That's it. I don't like even doing that.
And do you want me to just point for each slide?
Yes.
Okay,
Or just say it.
we'll buzz through a lot of them, so.
Yeah. You're starting.
Yeah, just tell me when you want to start.
Linda, you can hear me okay, right? Okay. So even when I'm whispering, you can hear me like this, right? Okay, good. Last time I don't think I had it mics correct, so that's why I'm double checking. Good. Okay.
You good?
Yep.
And where do you want me to be?
It's wherever.
Okay.
It kind of follows you.
I will call us to business. Welcome for our last pre-trip meeting. Yay. I'm Paul Bolgren, Pastor Paul on the trip. I'm Paul. So looking forward to this very much. 19 days to go after all these months and months and months of countdown. And tonight what we're going to do is I'm going to just talk a little bit about a few places I haven't talked about Dresden, another quick review of the Luther spots, and then Berlin. So just a couple quick things on that. Talk a little bit about what we'll be doing on our time during the trip. And then we're going to turn over to Paul and Gail to give you all the fun details that everyone wants to know about. So let's begin with a word of prayer. We thank you, Heavenly Father, that we are getting closer to this wonderful pilgrimage of faith. I know we are all looking forward to it. We are excited. We pray that as we take these last 3 weeks to get ready, you will be with us. You will help us keep our heads firmly on our shoulders, not to worry too much, and to look forward to the wonderful experience that we will have. Give us safe travels, build us together as a Christian community, and help us truly to appreciate your servant, Martin Luther, those around him, and all they have done that have changed the world so much. This we pray in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Well, one of the things we'll be doing on the trip is each day, maybe not every day, but most days when we get on the bus, I'm going to have a brief little devotions with you. And to help us with that, I've got a mock-up. You're all going to get one of these little cards. And it has Martin Luther's morning prayer and his evening prayer. Luther had a special prayer. In the morning, it was, I thank you, Heavenly Father, through Jesus Christ, your dear Son, that you have kept me this night from all harm and danger. And I pray that you would keep me this day also from sin and from every evil, so that all my doings in life may please you. For in your hands I commend myself, my spirit, my body, and all things. Let your holy angels be with me, that the evil foe may have no power over me. Amen. Then he says, go joyfully to your work. And the evening prayer ends this way. After the Amen, he says, Now go to sleep at once and in good cheer. So I'm going to give you one of these before we leave. Also, we can have these on your phone too. I was just informed tonight by, so if the print's a little too small for some of us, we should be able to have this available on your phone. But I thought every morning on the bus, we could join together as a group in Luther's morning prayer. And most mornings, I'm hoping to share just a very brief couple-minute devotion with you, usually on the bus or at the hotel before we leave. And I'm going to share with you sections from Martin Luther's Table Talk. And Table Talk is exactly what it sounds. When Martin Luther, later in life, he would always have people come to eat with him and his family, and he would pontificate, and he would talk, and he would share things, and he always had students writing down what he said. And they comprise volumes. I just have a little short abbreviated version I'm going to use. He said some really interesting, fun, sometimes snarky things. And so I'm going to share a few of those with you. I hope a little food for thought on many different topics. We also hope to have a couple of worship services on the trip. We'll have to plan those when we get there to find out when and where we can have them. But we'll do that, and we'll have song sheets because Luther, you'll hear me talk about how Luther loved music. And so we'll talk about those things. So just a few things coming up from the faith side of the trip to help us come closer to this amazing man. And not just Luther, but all those who were with Luther, who truly shaped the world that it is today. So I hope you will appreciate that as we go along. And if you don't appreciate it, well, then tough. So tonight, I would like to just share a very brief presentation about some of the last places that we're going to go. And in some of these places, especially in Dresden and in Berlin, I'm going to talk about the impact of World War II on the cities and what we will see. So we'll start out here. We're going to, after we leave Prague, we're going to go into Germany, and in southeastern Germany, everywhere we're going to be is the former East Germany. So everywhere we are is the former Eastern Bloc. We will see this amazingly beautiful city of Dresden. And these are just some pictures of Dresden from the past with the huge spires. Next one. The wall that used to surround the city. See what a magnificent city it was? And again, what it looked like in the Middle Ages, this amazing ancient city. Dresden was one of the most beautiful cities in Europe in the 19th and early 20th centuries. You can see by that picture. Okay, next one. And then that all changed in one night, very near the end of the war. And in March of 1945, when the British and the Americans launched an enormous 1,000-plane firebomb raid on Dresden. Dresden wasn't a military base, but it was a communications and transport marshalling center. And at this point, late in the war, the Germans were retreating from the Eastern Front. The Russians were pushing them out. And so people, material, arms were flowing into Dresden, and the Allies, in a very controversial decision, firebombed Dresden. And the city was absolutely devastated. 40,000 residents died in one night in the firebombings, okay? The city was gutted. It was left an absolute shell. If any of you have read Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse-Five, or seen the movie, which I did as a teenager, it was set in Dresden before and after the firebomb. Again, that's what the effect of the Allied bombing did to Dresden. And Dresden over the years has slowly built itself back up. Again, this is what it looked like at the end of the war. And this is the other side of this old photograph showing what it looks like today. The city has been remarkably rebuilt, and much of its old charm has been restored. Churches that were absolutely bombed out have been rebuilt. You'll see those, and you'll hear from the guide about how in many cases they took the stones from the churches and the buildings that were destroyed, and they've used those to rebuild it. Next one. And again, the work continues to try and bring the city back to what it was. Okay. So again, Dresden has risen from the ashes of the war, and it's, I mean, in the United States, our capital was destroyed by the British in 1814. We know 9/11. Many southern cities were destroyed during the American Civil War.
Okay.
Something on this scope is something we as Americans simply can't understand. And then after we leave Dresden, which is down here, we are going to travel through the Luther sites, the cities of Eisenach, Erfurt, Eisleben, Magdeburg, and Wittenberg. So these are the places where Luther was. We talked about these in our first session. I'm just going to very briefly talk about some of the places we'll see. We will go to Eisleben, which is where Luther was born and also where he died. And the house where he was born is still there, which is just amazing 540 years later. And you will be able to go into that house, which is now a museum. You will go by this house in Eisenach, where Luther lived for a little bit when he was a young boy, when he was shipped off from his family for a while, and he lived there. You'll see that house still stands. We'll go by there. We'll go to the Augustinian monastery, the cloister in Erfurt, where Luther studied for the priesthood. I told you the story of caught in a storm, prays to St. Anne, if you save me, I'll become a monk, and got saved, so he became a monk. And he spent time here. This is where he struggled with his faith. This is where his father confessor, Father Staupitz, urging him on, trying to give him some peace, sent Luther to earn a doctorate in biblical studies. And it was from those studies that Luther and the world were changed. So again, we will visit this beautiful monastery. We're actually going to stay there one night, and which is pretty cool. And if possible, we might be able to worship there. We don't know that. On our last trip there, we actually sat in on the evening, the Vespers, which was just beautiful. And while we're there, you'll get to see the cell where Brother Martin, this was his monastic cell at the monastery in Erfurt. Erfurt is a beautiful town. Has a huge downtown area called the Anger, and you can see many of the old buildings did survive the war. Not everything in Europe and Germany was destroyed during the war, but it's a wonderful scenic city. Then we're going to go to Wittenberg, which is where the stuff happened. And this is the castle church in Wittenberg. Not the exact same church that was there in Luther's time. This was rebuilt in the 19th century, but a magnificent building. That's the interior of the castle church in Wittenberg, the pulpit. Yeah, I got to stand in that last time we were there. That was the highlight of my life. This beautiful, beautiful church. Okay, one more. And it was on the door of the church that Luther nailed the 95 Theses. And one night, we hope many nights on the trip, when we're done, we can go back to the hotel, relax, have a drink if you want, and just sit and chat. And one night I plan on talking to you about the 95 Theses. What exactly were they? And what did Luther say, and why did it cause such a huge tumult? And so you will see the next one shows, this is the doors. These are not the doors from Luther's time. These are huge brass doors that now have the 95 Theses on them. But Luther is Wittenberg. And so this small town, it is a small town of a few thousand. It is so picturesque. And our hotel is right on the main street. And you can just walk up and down, and it's just wonderful. You'll be able to see that. Luther, and later on in his life when he married Catherine von Bora, they lived, this wasn't just their private house. This was a larger building. They had apartments in here. But this is where Luther and his family lived. This is where Luther did much of his writing, his preaching, or his teaching, and talking with students. And you will be in this room. You'll get to go through this room, which was Luther's dining room. The table talk, this is where it happened. This is where Luther and his family and students and professors and all kinds of people would come for dinner, and Luther would expound upon everything, and people would take notes. One of the things to keep your eyes open for on this trip is graffiti. Not American graffiti, spray paint, but look for ancient graffiti. Because when people would go places, they would sometimes write or carve their names. There is a triptych in the church in Torgau, where Luther's wife is buried, a big 3-piece painting up on the altar. If you walk around the back of it, which I hope you will if you go to the church, which we should, you can see the names of all the pilgrims who came, not all, but pilgrims who came to the church in the 1500s, the 1600s, and they wrote or scratched their name on the painting. I had pictures from the Vatican of people who came to the Vatican who scratched their names. On the door as you leave, I believe it's this door, the Russian Tsar, and I don't remember which one, came and wrote his name on the wall, and maybe our guide will point that out to us. But again, when we talk about this, this is stuff that is old. It's hard for us to understand. When we go to the Castle Wartburg, and I didn't put any slides here, in Luther's cell in Castle Wartburg, you will also see the names of the pilgrims who came to visit in the 16 and 1700s and wrote their names. It's just one of those interesting little things to keep your eyes open for as we travel. We will then go back to Eisleben. This is the house where Luther died. In 1546, he went to Eisleben because the Lutherans were fighting among each other. Go figure. Lutherans in disagreement. And while there, Luther got sick and he died. And in this house is a museum. And there you will see Luther's death mask. And just brings you right. And also have a mask of his hands as well. Just brings you to Luther. And in the Castle Church in Wittenberg, that is where Luther is buried. He's buried under the floor. When we were there in 2008, we went to worship. We actually were there on a Sunday, got to go to worship. And there was a praise band playing. And after the service, I noticed they were putting their music on Luther's grave. Part of me thought that was disrespectful, and part of me thought Luther probably loves that. But you will get to see Luther's grave, and on the other side is where Philip Melanchthon, who was Luther's right-hand man, he is buried as well. And then we will end up, all these places are in here, we'll end up in Berlin, which is the capital of Germany. And Berlin, again, a very modern city, multi-million population. Berlin was probably the most famous, the most beautiful, and the most well-known city in Europe in the 18th, 19th, and early 20th centuries. This is a scene from Berlin in the late 1890s. Okay, next one. And again, a magnificent city. Next one. Berlin, you maybe have seen when the Nazis came to power. They turned Berlin into the Nazi showplace. This is the Brandenburg Gate. This is Adolf Hitler in a car on a Nazi parade, perhaps on his birthday or something like that. Luther's birthday was a national holiday in Germany, just so you know that. They don't celebrate it anymore. But in his day it was. And again, the Nazi influence in Berlin before the war, during the war, was great. But once again, Berlin, just like Dresden, felt the effects of the war. The Allies bombed Berlin from 1943 through 1945, sometimes up to 1,000 planes bombing. And again, in World War II, there was no such thing as precision bombing. You would fly over the city. If you could get your bombs within a couple hundred to 1,000 yards of your target, that was considered very good. And so Berlin was devastated by the onslaught of Allied bombing throughout the war. And also, the last battle of the war was fought in Berlin. The Soviet forces from the east and the south encroached upon Berlin, and in late April of 1945, they launched an enormous assault on Berlin. And for about 2.5 weeks, there was an enormous battle. In the end, the Germans surrendered. This is a famous picture of a Russian soldier raising the flag of the Soviet Union over the Reichstag, the capital of Germany. And these are just a couple of pictures of what happened. This was the Reichstag before World War II. This is what it looked like when the war ended. The Soviets actually stormed this, and they fought room for room for room. These are trenches all around here. The Brandenburg Gate before the war. The Brandenburg Gate in April, May 1945. I mean, Berlin was devastated by the war. After the war, the country is split into the 4 sections: the Soviet sector, French, British, American, West Germany, East Germany. And then again, we're probably all old enough here to remember the Berlin Wall, erected in 1961. Interesting, 26 years after the war ended, the wall was probably built. It ran right along the Brandenburg Gate. And when we go to the Brandenburg Gate, you will see in the concrete a line that shows you where the Berlin Wall was. Again, cutting off this city of several million people, one from another. This is what it looked like when the Russians started building it. The East Germans started building it in the spring of 1961. All right. It is in front of the Brandenburg Gate that President Reagan gave his famous speech, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." So you will see exactly where that happened. And again, the Berlin Wall, all throughout Berlin, you will see, again on the pavement, outlines of where the wall was. It's about time you two get here. I tell ya, and I have to start all over again. All right.
You can watch the video.
Yeah. And again, most of us remember when the Berlin Wall came down in that amazing time in August of 1989, where just like that, it seemed the East Bloc fell, country after country, communism falling away, and Berlin and Europe reunited in many ways. This is what the Reichstag looks like today. It has a beautiful glass domino, an amazing thing. This is what the Brandenburg Gate looks like today. You don't see Nazis parading through it. You'll probably see people on segways taking tours. And just to this side of the Brandenburg Gate, next one, please, you will see this. There's the Reichstag. The Brandenburg Gate is just behind these buildings. This is a memorial to all the Jewish victims of Nazism. Again, Germany still coming to grips with what happened now almost a century ago. Other places you won't see. This is the Führerbunker, which was in the Reichschancellery, the foreign ministry building. This is where Hitler spent the last months of the war. This is the building where he died. His body was burned in a trench right outside. This is what it is today. I think very fittingly, the Führerbunker is underneath in a parking lot in an apartment. Because again, the German government is trying to eradicate the memories of Hitler and what he and Nazism did. You will see, though, throughout Berlin, you will see remnants of the war. You will see many buildings that still have bullet holes in them. Karen and I walked through a park, a beautiful park in Berlin our last time there. And here's this wonderful facade, and the facade is just marked by bullet holes. They're beautiful apartments across the street, bullet holes all over. Many of them deliberately not repaired, just to remind people of the cost of Nazism. But today, Berlin has been rebuilt. It is a magnificent, bustling city, but you will still see some memories. This was the Kaiser Wilhelm Kirche, which was deliberately left like that after the war. They did not rebuild it as a memory of what happened in the war. So that's just a little bit about what you'll see. So many experiences about to be lived, and I hope you take them in, and it will strike you in your heart and your gut sometimes, but you will be thankful for where the world is today from where it had been 80 years ago. So that's my part. Any questions on any of that? Yeah, Pat. Wonderful.
One of them was a guy named Irv Speck, who was taken captive at the Battle of the Bulge, taken to Slaughterhouse 5. And his
Interesting.
his ombudsman was Kurt Vonnegut.
Really?
Yes,
Wow.
and in his story, he tells what the American prisoners had to do. So if any of you guys are interested in that sort of thing, I can go back in my notes and put together a little story about it.
Yeah, this trip is not just about Martin Luther, but it's about all of European history. And those of us, I'm 100% German. It's our history as well. So you'll learn a lot on so many different levels on this trip. Any other questions or comments?
We're going to a concentration camp.
Yes. Our second day, we will be going to Auschwitz-Birkenau. Yeah, we talked about that in one of our previous meetings. So yes, you will get the opportunity, the gut-wrenching opportunity to see what that is. Okay, well, thank you. I will turn it over to the two of you.
Hold that. Or you want me to clip it on?
I can hold it.
Okay.
Hello, my name's Paul House. I'm sorry, I wasn't at the earlier meetings. It's been a busy year. Our company, Intertrav, give you a quick history on it. Our company, Intertrav, was founded by my father in 1966, doing group travel throughout Europe. In addition to our office outside of Chicago, we have an office in Rome. We had that for about 40 years. Office in London, and we also had an office in Austria, depending on where our business was going. One of my father's first and biggest niches was working with the polka bands from all over Wisconsin, Minnesota, and things like that, taking them into Germany, to Munich, different villages throughout there. So we've been doing custom travel like that for different organizations throughout the country. A couple of ones we work with more nationwide, 10th Mountain Division of the United States Army. We do their reunion tours. And they just had 3 buses this year, all of descendants. No more, none of the soldiers are left. They're traveling with them, but they fill 3 buses of descendants through Italy to the places that their parents and their dads and uncles liberated. Just kind of unique. That's just a little touch on our company. Basically, I brought our what we call our travel documents. So each person has a different packet, and I can go through everything that's in the packet if you want to
Want us to pass those out?
pass them out. Yeah, there should be alphabetical, except for this one. And me, I've been doing this since 1990, so I've been doing about 34 years or so, which was fantastic working with my father for that about until COVID. We lost him during COVID, but he worked up to the day he got COVID. He was in the office. So, and his favorite place was Germany, was the Alps, though, down in Bavaria, Switzerland. And I'll touch on everything. I don't know as much as Paul about all this, but we have exquisite tour manager, Janine, who's gonna be taking care of you. She is one of the best that we have, one of the best, I think, in Europe, in my opinion. Then we have a fantastic guide who's gonna take us through the Luther part. And then we have a couple local guides in Krakow, Berlin, Prague. Hotels are pretty much centrally located, so you can get outside your hotel and go for a walk. You're just right in the middle of pretty much everything, except for the first night. We're a little bit outside the city, just so we make our next day a little easier. And I'll touch everything. If you have any questions as I go through, a lot of it I'll talk about is traveling, the different things you'll be going through, the cell phones, money, and all that. If you really want to, you get the opportunity to use 3 different currencies on this trip. You don't have to, but if you really want to explore the unique currency of Poland, Czech Republic. They put and I can give you, if you need an extra copy, Gail, they put you together. I'm sorry.
No, this is this
Oh.
gathered and built for you.
Oh. Here's that. And I'll basically touch on pretty much everything here, and I'll go through it. I'm hopefully I answer all your questions on the travel portion and the things you'll be dealing with before you have but if you have a couple at the end, let me know. I kind of go through. I have a little routine, I guess I could say, that I've gone through now. I've been doing this for so long that a lot of it comes out naturally. But there is a white page in there. That is our bus schedule leaving and coming back to St. John's. Then we have our yellow packet, which is our travel packet with all the itinerary and general information. If you purchase the travel insurance, you'll have a sheet from TravelX, and that is your policy. Recommend bringing that with you just in case you need it. If for some reason in the last second you forget it at home and you still need it while you're over there, you talk to Gail. Gail has a list of some names. If you need anything else, you just call me and I email everything over that's needed. You also have a luggage tag and what we call a neck wallet in your packet. And the neck wallet's pretty much you put your name on there. It's for the tour guide or Janine to get to know who you are. You really don't have to wear it after a couple of days if you don't want to. Some people love them, some people hate them. Unless you wish that everybody to keep it on. It keeps the group together. It's pretty easy that way. But so I'll start kind of go page by page or paragraph by paragraph in some cases. The bus schedule down. We leave the here approximately 1 o'clock. About an hour and a half drive down to O'Hare from here. Drop off around 2:30. Bus will be Windy City Limousine. That's a Chicago company that comes up. They'll pick you up. Be a big black bus with Windy City on the side. So You know, if you're one of those that hate the Cubs, sorry. And they'll take you down there. In my opinion, they're the best company I can work with because they've saved me several times when people have had problems. And then at the bottom there, you'll see we arrived back into O'Hare sometime around 7:45 or so. You go through customs, get your bag, bus will be outside to whisk you back up here. You figure it's about an hour to get through all the customs and such. And then I'll switch to the yellow packet. The first page on the yellow packet, though, you'll see is your flight schedule. So check in at 2:30 at Terminal 5. So for some reason, I always say this, if you miss the bus and you got to get down there and you hop in your car, you go to Terminal 5. I'll be at the airport. You can give me your keys. I can take care of your car for a while. Check in at 2:30. Flight departs at 5:20. Nonstop from Chicago to Krakow on LOT Polish Airlines. Down at the bottom is the return flight schedule. Departing Berlin at 11:20. Changing planes in Warsaw at 12:40. Leaving there at about 4:30 in the afternoon, 4:40 in the afternoon, if I can see right in my eyes. Getting back to Chicago about 7:45. So get in a little bit later, but you can see that's a really short flight for coming home. Question. One of the biggest things we're dealing with these last couple of years now is this different seating on the airplane. I've been talking to the airline. They seat everybody. So they give us a manifest. We put everybody's name down. They have guaranteed me that everybody's going to be seating next to together. If you have a specific seat you wish to have or need, please let us know. You know, if you have to have an aisle or a window. The problem with this airplane is, and the newer flights, and I can't figure out why they set them up this way. It's 3 on the window, 3 in the middle, and 3 on the other side, which kind of ruins it if you're traveling with a partner, right? You want the 2 on the window, as they used to have. Now it's 3, 3, 3 on every plane. So there's always an individual in between where you don't want them. Nephew, my wife, she puts all her stuff in the middle seats, hoping that no one comes and sits in there. And then she has to move over from the aisle, or I have to move from the window. So down at the bottom there, it says luggage tag, which is white luggage tag. This is for your checked suitcase that I'll talk about towards the end about the luggage. We ask you to put this on your checked suitcase. Make sure your name is on there so they can read it. It's for the porters to get it to the hotel rooms for the porterage. Mostly, pretty much all that. From there, we go into the itinerary. Pretty much each day, you'll see it's at the beginning, we'll tell you what time the breakfast starts. Sometimes you have the departure, we'll be leaving the hotel at this time, that time. The other ones, it's kind of you'll be advised by Janine. So we arrive in Krakow, we do our sightseeing tour of Krakow. We go to the hotel. The next, that evening, we have dinner, wonderful dinner out. The next morning, we have an early start. We'll leave at 6, so we get to Auschwitz early. So hopefully we'll be like one of the first groups in, so you won't be dealing with a lot of people. So it's going to be should be pretty nice. And then from there, we'll make our way to Prague. That's going to be a long day on the bus. Once you leave Auschwitz, it's kind of a drive to Prague from there. But we'll be setting up the meals, so if we need to stop, we should start early enough that we have a chance to have a lunch stop. If not, we'll have a box lunch for you on board. The coach. The coach is a modern motor coach, has a restroom in it. They tell me the restroom is to be used if it's emergency only. And obviously, if you need to use the restroom on the motor coach, it's an emergency. But the motor coach driver, by European law, must stop every couple hours. Sometimes in the past, they seem like they like to stop just because they want to have a cigarette. But that's less and less now. We arrive into Prague. We have 3 nights in Prague. So dinner the first night at our hotel, and we have a hotel list at the end so you can see the hotels. The next day we do our full sightseeing of Prague. We have a lunch included at the Fleka Brewery, which is just pure history when you go in there. It's an amazing, beautiful place. And then in the afternoon, we kind of finish up our sightseeing of Prague. So we give you a free day to experience that gorgeous city. And in Krakow, as in Prague, I think those are almost the 2 only Jewish cemetery still left in Europe that wasn't destroyed. So the cemetery in Prague is pretty amazing. And then from Prague, we make our way to Dresden, do the sightseeing, and then to Erfurt. And we tried to get two nights at the monastery. Unfortunately, for the first night, they were sold out. They got us in the second night. So we have a wonderful hotel kind of in between the spots we want to be. It's a gorgeous 4.5 star hotel that it's kind of almost like a big villa. It's just a gorgeous hotel. And then we do the sightseeing during these Dresden through Berlin. You'll be joined by Silvio Reichart, who is a phenomenal guide who's going to take us through all the Lutheran sites. And so when you get there, you can talk to Janine. And actually, I may give you his email beforehand and stuff so you can, contact him. The one thing is, in Wittenberg, the Luther House is closed because of renovation. There's an exhibit that it's in here.
So you won't get to see the czar's name.
So there's we go to the Augustum Museum, which we had a big exhibit on Luther. Then we make our way to Berlin. We have a sightseeing tour of Berlin. Then the next day we kind of have it semi-free. We do the museum, and then that afternoon is free in Berlin. And then we have the final dinner that night before transferring back out to the airport for the flights home. So I kind of got the times in there. It's what time we want to get ready. They can change, depends on weather and traffic and situations like that, if there's road issues, but you'll be advised by Janine as you go through. You'll notice one thing about Janine. She's the hardest working person you're going to meet. I have a couple groups that will not travel unless she's taking care of them. Then we come to the hotel list here.
I will say, like we've talked about, each night we'll have a chance to debrief as a group, and Pastor Paul's got some more information for us and such. It's a great chance to talk. At that meeting is often where we kind of say, okay, for tomorrow, so we'll kind of remind you all what, we're leaving early, or whatever it is. So kind of go through the itinerary so you kind of mentally prepare the night before too. Okay, just so you know.
And then, like I said, the hotel list, the addresses there, the names. The first hotel is a little bit outside of Krakow to the west, kind of makes our next day a little bit quicker. But in Prague, we're right in town. And I said the Gotha, the Lindenhof Hotel, it looks absolutely incredible. I've not been there, but it looks beautiful. And then Erfurt, we have the monastery. And I'm still waiting to hear back if we'll be able to join the nuns in the worship and the things. And then Wittenberg, you're right in town with the Best Western. And in Berlin, you're right pretty much in the heart of it there. So you can get out and just walk back to the hotel. I like to say, if you go out for walks, sometimes you go out for walks. If you get lost, you want to get a taxi or something like that. It's a good idea if you had the name of the hotel written down, because I've had it where I've had people and they go out and they try to pronounce the name, but it doesn't come across as, as the Germans would say it, or as, I had my wife in Italy, in Rome, and she kept telling the name of the hotel. And she never got back. She ended up getting out of the taxi and walking back to the hotel because she could not pronounce the name of that hotel the way the Italian taxi driver knew it. All the phone numbers there are for calling from the United States. So if you leave, each package should have 2 yellow copies. You can leave one at home if you want. If someone needs to contact you and they need to contact the hotel, that's how you call the hotel. I would say all the hotels have hair dryers, except I believe I'm not sure about the monastery in the room. So if you want to bring your own hair dryer, I'll talk about the electricity, but all the other ones, the modern ones, have hair dryers in your rooms. So you don't have to bring a hair dryer if you don't want to. When I travel with my wife, she always brings her own hair dryer because every other hair dryer in the world doesn't dry her hair as nice as her own.
Vanity of vanity.
And I'll talk about the electricity as we go along. We put a name list in here, and names are put in. I double checked them twice. So if your name's spelled wrong there, it's not going to be on the same as the ticket, because the tickets are all done by Mark, who does our air department, off your passport. But I double checked everybody's name. So if there's something in there, let me know, because then I'm going to stop doing this. And obviously, I have a problem with reading and following letters.
But I think everyone has seen the directory that we've also created. I think we've got, I think almost everybody's photo, so you can always check that out if you wanna memorize each other's faces.
And then I come to the general information portion of the packet there. And first one, the travel documents. Everybody's US passport. We have everybody's passport in our office, so I know everybody's got a US passport. Airline tickets. You'll notice you don't have an airline ticket in your packet. Once you get to the airport, you hand them your passport, they swipe it, and then everything about you kind of comes up, and they know where you're from and all this. Again, we're in traveling out of and back into Terminal 5. And the problem with Terminal 5, if you have the TSA, send it to us. We'll get it in the record. Unfortunately, the TSA line at Terminal 5 isn't the TSA line at Terminal 1, 2, or 3. It's completely kind of morphs into the regular clear. If you have the clear, yeah, you can do that, and they'll walk you right through. That's really nice. If you have global entry coming back to the States, it's great. You walk in, they scan your eyes, and you walk right in. What I realized about global entry is, though I have it, and I got it just before COVID, so I never really used it. And I used it coming back this last year. My wife doesn't have it. I scan my eyes. They hand me a card. You walk right past everybody, and you go to the carousel. And you wait for everybody else to catch up because your suitcase takes an hour to get there. So it's great that you get to walk right through, but then you have to end up standing still and just waiting forever there.
One thing to note about that, we are a group, so some of you will have that, you'll be able to go ahead, but we are still traveling as a group. So like you said, we still have to wait for everybody to catch up. So it might give you a little chance to sit and relax up ahead, but we still have to make sure we haven't left people behind, right?
Yes.
So that's a big important thing for us to keep in mind, that we are moving as one group. And so with that, we're also going to be trying to, think about buddies, think about traveling. We'll probably create a little pod of maybe 4 of you so that you keep track of each other, right? So that way we're always kind of thinking, oh, we're missing so-and-so, or so it helps us to make sure we're all doing okay. So.
Which, yeah, that's fantastic, because I've had we've lost people at different places over the years. I've had someone get lost at O'Hare. She stood at the wrong carousel.
Still there.
And
Still there.
And getting back in the customs is almost impossible to get there, to find the person to say your bag's over this one, and the whole group's on the bus waiting for you. But and I kind of go through next. The personal luggage, that is your checked suitcase. So everybody on the trip is allowed to bring one checked suitcase. Basically, it's airline regulations, and it's for the motor coach. So there's enough room underneath the bus. It's a 53 seat bus. There's a lot of room on it, but all the suitcases will go underneath. That suitcase should not weigh over 50 pounds. That's the most important thing. We mentioned the dimensions there, but the dimensions are 62 linear inches when you measure the length, width, and depth. If you have a suitcase bigger than that, you got a really big suitcase, and you probably don't. But just make sure you weigh that before you go to the airport, because they can't, if you go over 50 pounds, they will charge you, and it's not inexpensive. Sometimes it's $50 or $100 just for every 25 pounds over the 50, or then you got to take things out and carry them on. In addition to your checked suitcase, which again, that's where the luggage tag to be put on. You have your carry-on, your personal items. So you can bring 2 things on board a carry-on. If you got a rolling carry-on, again, it's your carry-on, so you got to take it to the rooms and things. And then that carry-on should not be bigger than 45 linear inches, and that will fit in the overhead compartment. That includes your wheels and your handles. So if you want to measure the length, width, and depth to make sure it's the right size there to get in the overhead compartment. And then you have what they call a personal item, which is a purse or a backpack that goes in the seat in front of you. When I travel anywhere, this is the only bag I bring, because I don't want to be carrying a bunch of bags with me. I kind of break everything down and put it in small little spots and jam it in my bag. Now, if you're bringing a medical device, such as a CPAP machine or something like that, that is not considered a carry-on. So you can technically bring 3 bags with you, but again, remember, you got to carry those 3 bags through the airport. Going's not that bad, but coming back, we have to change planes in Warsaw, and you got 3 bags that you're lugging with you. Could be a little bit much, so try to condense them down. And that's the carry-on. If if you need to know what you can bring on board and what you can't, you can go to tsa.gov. They'll tell you everything you can allowed to bring on board the airplane nowadays. Some people bring walking sticks and things like that. Put those, you can buy collapsible ones. Put them in your check suitcase. There's no problem. The liquid gels and aerosols. If you've traveled since 9/11, no, you can't bring liquid gels or aerosols bigger than 3.4 ounces on board plane. So if you're bringing in little toothpaste or cream or hand sanitizer, make sure they're in their little bottles. You put them in a quart size Ziploc bag, not a gallon size. They like the quart size. And then when you go through security, you pull them out. A lot of times I've gone through security and totally forgot about pulling them out, and they never looked in my bag either. So whatever you're bringing on board, though, if you're bringing shampoo, most hotels have some little bottles and things, but I'm going to say the monastery may not. So you may want to make sure you bring some type of shampoo and soap for yourself. The time difference while you're traveling, 7 hours ahead of Central Standard Time. So the best time to call home is about 10 o'clock at night, when it means it's 3 o'clock here. If you get up in the morning at 7, you call home, it's midnight here. So if you want to make sure you find someone at home, that's the time to call. But no one likes to be called that time. The health part there, no vaccines, no COVID restrictions. The water is safe to drink. The water is better than it is at my house. I can guarantee you that. So the Chicago suburbs, my well water is not the most enticing. The next page over to cell phones. And if you've traveled a lot and you know all this stuff, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna kind of go over the basics. Not all cell phone, pretty much nowadays, all smartphones will work in Europe, but you need to call your carrier, your company, AT&T, Verizon, whoever it is, and get a international roaming package. They all work a little bit differently. Now it seems like most of them are going where when you use it, it's $10 for that day, and you can use it just like you use it here in the States. And so that's, if you don't want to use it, you leave it on airplane mode. And let's say you want to, and you can still take pictures, but if you're your free day in Prague and you want to use the map, you can switch it over and you can use the maps there, and he charges you $10 a day. If you don't do that and you just want to use the phone regularly and you want to find, you need a Wi-Fi hotspot, pretty much any coffee shop in Europe, and there's a lot of coffee shops in Europe, will have Wi-Fi. You just go in there and you got to put your email in. So they send you emails for the rest of your life, but then you can use their Wi-Fi. The name tags, neck wallets, as we call them. Again, those are for Janine to get to know who you are. Towards the end of the trip, if you're still wearing them, great. If you want to stop wearing them, especially if you go out to dinner on some of the free nights, like the free day in Prague, you may not want to wear it around over your neck. But it's a nice place to keep things. Your passport, especially at the airport, and boarding pass, it's a great place to stick them so you have them handy. The weather, or I'll say the clothing and packing. We like to say when you're traveling, to pack like an onion or to dress like an onion, so you can peel off pieces. So you have your coats. So in the morning, if it's 40 degrees out, you have your coat and sweater or shirt on. And as it warms up to 50, 60 in the afternoon, you can peel them off. And that's another great thing. If you have a soft-sided bag, like a backpack or a duffel bag with you, bring it on board bus. You can put your jacket, your umbrella, any type of rain jacket in there, and your camera, so you have everything right in front of you with you on the bus. We also, the next portion there is the weather part. Put down the average temperatures, average highs and average lows, so you can see what they are. But of course, that's just the average, which means it's not going to be the average. It never is. Like, here it's this weekend in Chicago was like 90 degrees, and it's supposed to be, fall. But and in June it was like 60 degrees. So before you go, great idea to jump on the, a day or two before when you start packing, look what the long-term forecast is for the Krakow, Dresden, Berlin, and you'll see if it's going to, if they have forecasting rain or anything like that. Gratuities for people, your porters, your bus driver, your guides, your tour manager, everything. That's all covered, so you don't have to worry about tipping anybody. And down there at the bottom, it says itinerary change. That's if there's an event that makes the weather event or a traffic event, something like that, where we have to change the itinerary. To give you an example, I have a group that just left Monday to go on a river cruise. They're supposed to go to Budapest and start cruising the Danube River. Budapest, they couldn't bring the boat in. There's too much water in the river. So they have the boat out in Bratislava. So they fly in, they take them to Bratislava, and then the next day they drive them in. So just in case there's any type of weather issues, or if there's a road outage or bridge outage, we may have to change the itinerary a little bit, but you will be informed on that right away. Electricity is my favorite part. So if you're bringing
Kind of guy.
so I'm sure you're bringing a cell phone or something like that with you. What you're going to need for your cell phone is an adapter, which for where we're going is a 2-prong C plug. Is a kind of a picture there that kind of shows it a little bit. So it's just like this. So if you're going to charge your cell phone, you take your cell phone plug and you plug it into here, and then you plug it into the wall and it charges your phone. If you don't have, you can buy these pretty much Target, Walmart. Also, you can go on Amazon. This is a unique one I found on Amazon. It's just an adapter, but you can plug in a bunch of different items. Has USB plugs, so you can plug your phones in. So if you have 2 or 3 phones with you, if you have a camera you need to charge, something like this works great. Now, if you're bringing a older appliance, you're bringing your hair dryer or curling iron or a old camera, you most likely will need a converter to convert the electricity from the 210 to the 220 to the 240 to the 110. And so this is the big plug here. So you plug the adapter into the wall, plug this into the adapter, and plug the item into here to use.
The only people that really need it are those that bring their own hairdryer.
Hair dryer or curling iron. I am told if you bring your own curling iron, you use it a couple times, then it will melt and you'll never use it again. CPAP machine, you have to look on your machine. If it's some of them now, it says if there's a thing there that says it takes a dual voltage. If it's a newer one, it may take the dual voltage. If it's not, you may need a converter. And then I also recommend if you're bringing a CPAP machine to bring a small extension cord, just in case that outlet is not right next to the bed, because you never know where it's going to be in the hotel. So you have an extension cord to plug it into the wall, or so you can get it to where you need it to be. It's also great too if you just buy a regular converter adapter, you throw one in. It's got a couple plugs, so you can charge your 2 phones and your camera, or your computer. One thing I've noticed every time I travel, I always bring my laptop. I've never used my laptop in Europe. It all just makes my bag weigh another 10 pounds or whatever it is. So this recently, though, I went and bought this. I used to have a couple of these sets, and I let my kids use them, and now I only have a couple plugs left and a couple of converters, and 1 converter left out of 3. So I went to the store and I bought this at the local office store. Nowadays, you can buy it. It's an all-in-one system. I guess this is the last one of this they had. I think I was the only one who bought it, where the converter and the adapters are all in one device. So you pull out the European plug, you can pull out the British plug, and the converter and the adapters all one unit. I bought like I said, this is the old typey, which has the different plugs and the converter there also. So that's it. Now, if you bring your hair dryer, let's say, and you don't use the converter, what's going to happen is you're going to blow out the electricity in half the hotel, and no one's going to like you. The rest of the trip, no one will talk to you. You'll be in the back of the bus all by yourself. And I've seen it happen. First time I took my wife to Europe. So breakfast included every morning at the hotel. If for some reason, it's all buffet breakfasts. If you order something off the menu or something like that, you may need to, if there's an extra charge, make sure you cover that. Especially also if you, at the hotel, if you, let's say in Prague, you have lunch at the hotel, charge it to your room or something like that. Make sure you cover that as your personal expense when you're leaving. The additional meals there that are not included in the cost, it's pretty similar to here when you're eating. It's, it's not, you can eat a lot less expensive than this. There are a lot of takeout carts you can find on the street, but a lunch is going to cost you $10 to $20 in different currencies, which I'll talk about at the end. When you go out and you're eating by yourself, all the meals we have included, the tips are included in it. So you don't have to worry about tipping anybody. You don't have to tip the breakfast or anything like that. That's all been covered. But if you go out by yourself and you have a lunch in Prague that free day, historically, the Europeans include the tip in the bill. My last time I was over, half the restaurants included the tip, half of them did not include the tip. If they do not include the tip in the bill, they will let you know. It will be in big letters that service tip is not included. So And then this tip like you do here, it's 15, 10, 15, 20%. I also thought it was 10%. Now I guess it's 20%. Showing my age. Personal expenses at the hotel. Shopping while you're on tour. So some of the places you're going, they got some wonderful things. You can get the tax back, the value added tax, since you're not a European resident. So in Prague, let's say you go and you buy a beautiful set of crystal, because they have some wonderful crystal there at some wonderful prices, or at least they did when I was there. If you look in the window, there's to be a VAT, value added tax. You can get that tax back. You have to spend over a certain amount in one store at one time, and then the store clerk will fill out the forms. They'll tell you need to get it stamped when you're leaving. And this is where I have not got the answer for yet. I'm going to say you have to get it stamped at the border when you leave the Czech Republic, or because if you go to the airport and you want to get it stamped in Germany, the Czech Republic's part of the EU, but they're kind of not part of the EU because they still got their own currency. So every time I keep asking that question, can you get it stamped at the airport and get your money back for the check? I haven't got that answer yet. So hopefully Janine will know when you get on the bus. So if you go shopping, we'll know what to do on that. If you do go shopping though at the other in Germany and things like that, in Berlin, and when you leave the airport, the city, when you go to the airport, you can get your form stamped. You'll get your money back either by credit card or cash, depends on how you bought your item. And then that last part, the U.S. Customs and Global Entry. Again, everybody's allowed to bring $800 worth of goods back to the United States duty free. If you go over that, you must pay a duty. I think 10, 14%, somewhere in there. They'll give you a form, you fill it out, and if you want to,
We're not going to any Turkish rug shop.
no. What I usually say about the duty is sort of like when I drive up here from Chicago. I live out in St. Charles, Illinois, which is 50 miles west of the city of Chicago. So I get on I-90 to 294 to 94 and all the way up. And sometimes I don't really do 70. Sometimes I may go a little bit faster, but no one knows I do that because they no one saw me and no one caught me. So I'm not sure if you understand that correlation there with the duty, but the last part.
Knows.
So yeah, I have a little. I wasn't sure if I should mention it here, but the miscellaneous portion there. In the past, we always said make a copy of your passport, bring it along. Nowadays, with your cell phone, take a picture of your passport on your cell phone. You keep it on there just in case you lose it. It's easier to get the passport reissued if you have a copy, so they can see who you are. Same with your credit cards, your prescription drugs, your prescriptions. Take copies, take pictures of them just to have them with you, just in case. Make sure you bring an umbrella because it may rain, and I can guarantee you umbrellas are much less expensive here than they are in Europe. I bought quite a few over there over the years. And then make sure you have like a rain jacket just in case. Your prescription drugs, the TSA, you go on their website, they say keep your prescription drugs in the original containers and carry them with you on board plane. In 35 years of doing this, I've never had anybody stop for putting their prescription drugs in a daily pill box. If that's how you like to carry them, do that. Just bring a copy of the prescription with you. So if someone questions it, you can show it to them. And then if you have more, we're gone for 10 days. So if you have them more filled in there, bring a couple extra just in case this cancellation flight or something like that. I had someone got stuck in Alaska just after COVID because they got COVID and they wouldn't let him home. But he only has prescription drugs for basically until he got home. He was stuck there for another 4 or 5 days in Skagway, Alaska, where the only way you can get to Skagway, I think it was Skagway or another city. The only way you can get there is by sea or air, and he couldn't get his prescription drugs. So he was kind of hurting for a couple of days. So make sure you bring a couple extra just in case. And also going back to kind of that miscellaneous and packing, when you pack your suitcase, you pack it all up and then you take 30% out because you're not going to wear 30% of the items in there. At least I don't. I always pack mine full. I'm going to need this, need that. And then I get there and I come home and it's still clean. I haven't used it.
So all the underwear, take that out.
Yeah, just throw it out. Put the old underwear in.
You only need one. Come on.
The money matters area. And so this is another thing we're talking about, the credit cards, your ATM card.
Do the hotels offer laundry service, my dog?
Yes, they will. So if in Prague, or, Prague, you have the 3 nights, it's best to do it there if you need to. They will charge you and it will be, it's not inexpensive. And they have the plastic bags in the closets. And I accidentally put my dirty clothes in there one time. I can't remember what town it was in, and I left it out. I didn't hide it in my suitcase. So they took it and they did my clothing. They washed it. I couldn't get that shirt. It was a dress shirt. I couldn't get it open. There's so much starch in there. I mean, you could hear it crack. I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I can wear this. I had to take it home and wash it. So they do it. I'm not sure, if it's going to come back. The money matters. So the credit cards, your ATM cards, currency, what you're going to bring with you. So traveling, Poland has their own currency, the zloty. The Czech Republic have the Czech krona, or in English is the Czech crown. And then in Germany, go to the euro. You're in Poland for one night. Dinner's included. Breakfast is included. The next day, we go to Auschwitz, and then we're pretty much on the bus. So you really don't need any Polish zloty. You can use your credit card or debit card if you wish. If you're using your credit card and you're going to bring your debit card, you have a credit card you plan on bringing with you and using, I recommend you still call your bank or get online and log in and say you'll be using these cards. And make sure you put the countries down: Poland, the Czech Republic, and Germany. Nowadays with the chips, they don't freeze the accounts that much, but there's always that chance that they will freeze your account if you start using your credit card in Poland. You never used it in Poland before, or in the Czech Republic. They may freeze it for a fraud alert. We have a credit card in our office it's a Visa card, and all we do with it is basically use it for travel services all over the world. And I've talked to them many times, and that's why we're using this. You don't have to, flag it every time. And the other day, I bought tickets for, I can't remember where, somewhere in Spain for a group, and I had to buy 2 sets. And after they let me buy the first one, the second one, it said fraud alert. So I had to call them again. I'm like, talked to you about 30 times about this. But so make sure you do contact your credit card company and your debit card, your local bank. Credit cards in Europe, the ones they take: Visa, MasterCard, American Express. Discover card is not really taken. So if you have a Discover card, you can leave that at home. And then you can also use your ATM card, like a Visa, just like we do here. When you're buying things, you can, depends on the credit card you have. Some credit cards will charge you a fee to do the international conversion. Nowadays, when you go to charge something, a lot of the times they will ask you, do you want it in euros or dollars? So you can pick it in dollars and you don't have to pay the fee on your credit card. That's that part, the credit cards. Currency. So if you're going along, I always recommend you bring a little bit of euro with you, like $100. Some people, depends on how you like to travel. You've traveled a lot and you like to carry a lot of cash with you, then you know what you're doing. But if you go to your local bank, about €100. So you have some euro with you. In Poland and in the Czech Republic, we talk about the currencies in a minute. A lot of the stores will have the price in zlotys and then euro next to it, and they will take some of the, not all the stores, but they don't have to, not legally, but they take the euro. They do the conversion for you right there, and then they give the change back to you in the local currency. So in the zlotys or in the Czech crown, they'll give you the change back. So if you're traveling along and if you bring US dollars, you need to exchange them at change stores. The banks usually don't change money anymore. They leave it up to what is called a change store. It says change. They got a board full of currencies that you'll see the different rates. And if you follow the rates, then you'll say, wow, that's a great rate. I'm going to change my dollars here. They don't put the commission in that rate. So you're changing, like, wait a second. The first time I did, I was like sitting there for like 5 minutes trying to figure out what just happened, because I felt like they just, took too much. And then figure that out. But the best way and the easiest way to get currency, local currency, is by using your cash card, your ATM card. You put it in the ATM, you punch in your number. The local currency will come out if it's a crown or the euros. First of all, your bank may charge you for using your card, on the other side of the world. And then when you go to do that, the ATM will tell you if they're going to charge you so much money for, so if you're going to go and, the most you can take out is about €400 at one time. So if you're going to, do it once, so you don't get charged too many times, you take the €400 out and you can cycle that through. If you come home with a bunch of euro, you can exchange the bills back to dollars at your local bank, but you get to keep the coins as souvenirs. And I don't know, but they are pretty much, you can't miss them. Last time I was there, every time I turn around, there's another ATM. I had to bring home a bunch of euro for someone, and I was sitting in ATMs all over up and down the street. You can't exchange your, you can't, at the hotels, they may exchange your dollars also. So if you're in a pinch and you need to get euro, you can always exchange them there. One thing you will come back with though, which it always, when I travel, it drives me crazy. You get a ton of euro change or crown change because the euro one is a coin, the euro two is a coin. So once you use it, you get the coins and start building up. And so it's a good idea if you have a little change purse or bag or something you can bring along to put it all in, and then you can make sure you use it instead of walking back to the airplane with a big pocket full of euros. And there you see the euro breakdown. The rate of exchange we list there, we kind of do, well, when we put together the documents a couple of days last week, we looked at the whatever the rate is, we take 10% off because that's what they're going to charge you wherever you go, basically. So it's basically it gives you an idea what the exchange rate is for the euro. And then if you look at the Czech krona and the Polish zloty, we kind of did it backwards. The most important one first. You'll see that if you exchange a lot of money, like the crown, the Czech currency, can get a little confusing. $100 is equal to 2,000 Czech crown. So you gotta keep track of how much you're spending. So if you go to a store and it's 3,000 Czech crown, it's not all that much. It's only a couple of $150 or so. And then down at the zloty, $1 equal to about 3.5 Polish zloty. And there we kind of listed different denominations, how the bills are broken down, how the coins are broken down. So you can see you can get a 50 krona coin, but the 50 krona is not really, or 50 crown coin is not really worth all that much, a couple of dollars. And questions. Well, one thing I forgot to mention, LOT Polish Airlines is part of the Star Alliance. So if you have United Airlines frequent flyer card, either call our office and give it to Lisa and give it to Mark, but I suggest you bring it with you. We had a group going out today on United. I put in the United credit miles for a couple people myself. I put them in. I know I did. I saw them. Put it in, clicked. When we got there, it didn't even come up on their boarding pass or anything. So we had to re-put it in at the airport. So you can send it to us, but bring your mileage number if you want to get miles for your flights. When I first started doing this, they told me to say this when I talk about the frequent flyer miles, that it is a grouped airfare, so you may not get them. I've never had anybody not get the miles, but there's always that one chance that they pick on somebody. Any questions?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a question.
That, the guys will get on the bus with us when we arrive at the airport. Does that assume that that person is with us until the end of the trip?
Yes.
Does that also assume that the Whisper system comes with that guide and stays with us the whole time?
Yes. They'll be at the hotels. So they start in Krakow. They'll be at the hotel in Krakow. She'll pick them up. Gina will get them, distribute them for the next day. Don't lose the Whisper receiver. This because if you lose that, then we got to charge you. I think it's €75 for a receiver. So make sure you hold on to that.
Does everyone understand what a whisper is? For those of you that aren't going to raise your hand, it's essentially a little receiver. So the guide will have the transmitter, and so you could be 50 feet away from them using a headphones, and you can hear them clearly, like they're right next to you. So they can whisper what they're talking about and not be yelling. So everyone else that's there to appreciate doesn't have to listen to this person yell, right? But we can hear.
Yeah, and the other thing I love about the Whispers though is when you do if you didn't have the Whispers, you'll notice you're walking with the group, and let's say there's 30 of you, or we split them up with 2 guides. There's only 10 or 15 per guide. But at the end of that tour, somehow there's like 25 people. This is, they just kind of merge over. But yeah, they'll have the Whispers throughout.
I would mention that the Whispers will come with a real basic little headphone. It's usually just like one that goes in one ear. You can bring if you have a favorite headphone that you like to use that fits you nicely, your style, whatever it is, you can bring that along and not use that little cheap one that comes with the Whispers. Plug it in. It would be the normal headphone jack. They call it a 3.5-inch stereo. So it's just the normal kind you would use for like an Apple headphones or whatever. But you can bring that along. It'll be much more comfortable for you. You'll hear better. But so think about that like now. Otherwise, they'll give you the one, and it'll be just a little real cheap one that goes in your ear, which will work fine. So you can use that. You can also keep the ones that the airplane give you, as they give them on the airplane. So just something to think about, especially if you want a certain type of headphone.
Uh, 630-377-5840.
That number again?
630-377-5840.
Call now.
Call tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow.
You can ask for Paul or Lisa. Or if you want to email it, you can email it to us and I can give you my card and just email it to me and then I forward it on to Mark, who does all the airline stuff. I used to do the airline stuff a long time ago and I forgot how to. And then they didn't want me to do it anymore because I made mistakes. So yeah, no, yes, it's we have hot breakfast in the morning before we left. Then we'll have box lunch on board. Yeah. So yeah,
So that we're not stopping.
so we're not stopping.
We'll probably stop for the bathroom break, but not for an hour-long lunch.
It's or Polish Lot Airlines, but they're a part of the Star Alliance, so it's the United Airlines system. They'll give you the miles. There may be not as many as it's supposed, because they now you go on United, you depend on what seat you get by is what mileage they give you. Could be the same system.
So what kind of questions do people have? Are we gonna have fun? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The bus will be here early every time. They're usually at least a half hour early, if not earlier. I mentioned come up 15 minutes early so you can get stuff loaded on. But the bus will be early. They always are.
It's a true thing. It's a true thing.
I think we covered this last time, but we can leave our vehicles here,
Yes.
here at St. John's.
We'll probably put them a little farther away so it doesn't bother the Sunday morning crowd. But so kind of on the periphery, usually under a light, but yes,
And
we
if
won't
you-
come back to it covered with a foot of snow like last time, but hopefully. Other questions people have?
Are there any dress requirements for any of the places you're going?
No, there's no, it's a casual trip, so you can wear just what you're wearing now. There's no, unless you're like the day and night in Prague or Berlin where it's free or whatever, and you want to go out somewhere more expensive for dinner, then you may have to dress up, but it's a casual trip. You don't have to bring a sport coat or a tie if you don't wish to.
Comfortable walking shoes, since we've talked
Yes.
about.
You'll be.
Since we had a lost luggage on the last trip, the first that's of Paul, and I was the roommate of the person there. No, that wasn't that. Lost, as you know, lost her luggage. Some of you were there. So I decided that maybe I would go back to something that I did a long time ago on trips, is I would make little pom-poms for everyone to put on their suitcase, either in red and white or green and gold. I haven't decided which is to wear yet. And if you put them on our suitcases, it somehow it's just like a blinking light, and other people that might can't pick up that suitcase, but won't do it. Because they'll probably be blue and gold, and they won't want our suitcase. So I. think-
Cause it has a pom-pom on it, that's why.
Just pick a pair of colors and we go and buy stain and yarn and you cut 12-inch thing and wrap them around your handles. But as long as it's not hanging low that it's gonna get stuck in the belts. You know, I've got an orange wrap.
Yeah, these are small, and I, we just want, well, it's just very, that we will put her on her suitcases that are bright green.
I use gaffing tape with that bright green color, and I put on every side a little square with my initials on it.
Oh, yeah.
So whatever way it comes out of that tape, I'm gonna know every side of that suitcase and then really square.
I like that too.
Any other questions? You'll think of it when you get home, right? That's how this works. Well, that's great.
Parking lot, when you come here and you leave your car here, far south end of your service.
Yeah, so should we plan on loading at 12:30?
He should be here about 12:30, so, 12:30,
So yeah, so if you wanna
12:15.
be, you know, even like, I hate to tell people 45 minutes before the time, because there's some of you that will arrive an hour and a half before the time. But, yeah, we'll need to load, there'll be a little bit of a group photo, all those good things, so. Well, it's gonna be a great trip. I hope you're excited about it. I know I am. And, looking forward to traveling with you all, learning from, the master. So, but if you think of other questions between now and then, please let us know. Yeah, I think we're good, right? Yeah, cool. All right, should we close with a prayer?
And those doors will be open, it'll be the doors over there, not these doors over here, because the bus comes to that door.
I don't even know where I am. So, yeah.
I think,
Find Gail,
The portico.
the portico, where we did last time. Same place we left. All right. Let's go to the prayer. Let's go to prayer. Dear good and gracious God, thank you so much for the excitement and the anticipation of a wonderful trip. We're looking forward to just learning a lot, being together, experiencing these important sites, and just growing in our faith. We ask that you keep us all safe between now and then, help us to plan and prepare, and just really help us to have a wonderful, wonderful time away. We thank you for this experience and the anticipation of it all. And we just ask that you bless us tonight with rest so that we can wake up tomorrow ready to serve you again. In your name we pray. Thanks, everyone.
thank you.
We'll see you soon. Good night, everybody. Good night, Linda. Good night, Don. You've got his? Yeah, he's like your next door neighbor, right? Okay.
Right now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I've got to tell Janet and Linda.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.